Gathering at the weather water cooler to chat with a meteorology department alum is particularly gratifying when that alum is a former colleague and the commencement speaker this year for the Penn State College of Earth and Mineral Sciences. Dr. David Titley retired from our department in 2019, and we're delighted to welcome him back.
Thank you, John. It's an honor to be here.
It's really good to see you again, Dave. You know, after graduating from Penn State with a meteorology degree, you served as a naval officer for 32 years, rising to the ranks of Rear Admiral. What were some of the highlights of your meteorology experiences in the Navy?
I mean, there were so many, John, and really working with the sailors and really supporting the mission of the Navy was tremendously rewarding. Early on in my career, back in the mid-'80s, back in the height of the Cold War, we actually took a large amphibious ship up to the Aleutian Islands in January, and I was the meteorologist on board. And everybody who used not to really care that much about weather when you're off the coast of California was really interested. And we got everyone to the Aleutians safely and back safely through the winter storms. And it was really, for a young 20-something person, just an amazing forecast experience.
Yeah, I bet. Now, following your retirement from the Navy, you were briefly Chief Operating Officer of NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Given that you were literally on the inside, what do you make of the recent and proposed cuts to NOAA?
So I believe on Weather World, you recently had Dr. Louis Uccellini on, former director of the Weather Service, and I would agree with virtually everything he said there. I believe he used the word capricious for the cuts. I would say they're arbitrary. I see nothing about efficiency, but they really are just kind of taking a sledgehammer and a hacksaw, and that's not how you do surgery. Like any organization, you can, of course, make things better. There's no doubt about that. But doing what they're doing is really, I think, disruptive. And you talk about the trust between like emergency managers and the forecasters. And one of the things we learned in the Navy is you cannot surge trust. And that is a big deal.
You cannot surge trust, something to keep in mind. What are your best memories of being part of our department from 2013 to 2019?
Yeah, there were a lot. I would say right at the top was the students. You get these young students just out of high school, and they are full of ideas, full of energy. It was fantastic to work with them, especially in the weather risk field, which is where we were doing. And now, with the perspective of time, it's great to see how they're doing in that field. Working with the faculty, I mean, world-renowned faculty, not only in our department, but through the college and the university. And the university let me work on a lot of National Academies of Science work as well. Those are, of the many highlights, I would say those were some.
What have you been up to since you retired from the department?
So a few things. My wife and I now volunteer for several months out of the year in Grand Teton National Park. For those who don't know where that is, if you know where Yellowstone is, just go a few miles south. That's us. And we work something called Wildlife Brigade. So we are managing for the National Park Service in that park the interface between all the 3 million visitors and the grizzly bears. And that is, in fact, we were just doing this a few days ago. So we do that. The other thing we do is we do this in an RV, and that has led me to create RV Weather, where we basically take people's driving preferences, their weather limits, if you will, how much weather they want, and we will give you a route to keep you out of the bad weather.
All right, so you're an entrepreneur now.
I am.
So, you know, as I think about your career, Dave, you were in the Navy, you were at NOAA, so the government sector, you were here in academia, now you're kind of in the private sector. I mean, give us your sort of 30,000-foot view of how the various sectors of the weather enterprise work together.
Yeah. I mean, they do pretty well. Really, they do pretty well. And again, like anything, you could do better. NOAA, for sure, is the engine. They're down in the boiler room, right? And without NOAA, really none of the rest of this, the way we have it structured today, works. Virtually every, if not every, private enterprise is highly reliant on the basic products and services that come out of NOAA. The academic portion, this is where great new ideas come from. You look at, it's called the quiet revolution, right? How we have improved, and much of those improvements have come out of academia that then get put into the enterprise there. So everybody has a part to play, And while things can always be improved, I think everybody's really is contributed to not only safety of life and property, but really making all of Americans' lives better.
Gotcha. Hey, how about a sneak peek at some of the key points in your commencement address?
Well, I may mention a few things here. One of the things is reciprocity. If you want to be treated nice, treat other people well. Persistence. And sometimes, things can look pretty grim. Keep trying. The great thing in life is you have an unlimited number of at-bats. And the third thing, I would say be kind. It costs you nothing, and it just makes the world a little bit better.
Very nice. Dr. David Titley, Penn State alum, retired Rear Admiral, former faculty member and colleague of mine here in the Penn State Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Science.
Thanks so much,
for
John.
joining us.
Thank you.
Good to see you again. And we will be back in a moment with more.